My name's Matt Andrews. I'm here with Sefton Hill, who's the game director of Batman Arkham Knight. Thank you for joining us, Sefton. You've just come out of the developer session that you guys are hosting. You had a big panel, you had a massive audience as well. There was hundreds of people in there. You may not be aware, but there were about 200 people outside who couldn't get in as well.
Wow, that's great.
How did the panel go for you?
Yeah, really well, really well. I mean, reception was awesome. You know, people were really excited by it, which is great for us. We kind of work in a bunker in our little office in Kentish Town, so to be able to come out and show it to the fans is awesome. You know, we're such big Batman fans ourselves that it's great that fans enjoy what we do, because we really treat this character with a lot of respect. You know, we want to make sure that we're doing him justice, basically.
Yeah, and that's something that Rocksteady have been associated with throughout the whole series. You guys have always been considered as developing a true series for real Batman fans, bringing a lot of other people who maybe weren't originally Batman fans in as well. Did you unveil a whole new load of footage today?
Yeah, we revealed a new trailer that we hadn't shown before, which showed some of Batman in action in Ace Chemicals, which went down really well. It's great to see it on the big screen and to see Batman in action, and again, kind of coming away from the office and looking at it in this kind of environment is really cool, because you actually get to see sort of the finished product. And
does it remind you like a fan's perspective on things? Does it get to step back and go, yeah, people, they like what we're doing?
Definitely. I mean, it's really strange, because you kind of feel like, I know this sounds weird, but I always feel like we're making the game for ourselves in a sense, because we want it to be a passionate, you know, driven by our own passion. We're not trying to please other people, we're trying to create something that we really believe in, and hopefully that's what shows through and gets other people excited. But then when you come here, you kind of feel like a social responsibility. You realise, wow, this is big for a lot of people.
You've got to get it right.
Let's not mess this up, otherwise we'll be in trouble.
So Arkham Knight is the third of the trilogy. Was it always going to be a trilogy? Was that from day one?
I couldn't say from day one, but I think fairly early on in City, really, we started to think, you know, like, we've got a story to tell, this feels like the right arc, this feels like where we want to end is to, you know, we would have worked in it for about 8.5 years by that point, and we want to make sure that every game is awesome, that it's always something that we're really delivering something impressive and incredible and new. You know, what we don't want to do is get into that situation where any game feels like it's just a rehash of the previous one. Every game should feel like a really new, fresh experience, and that's something that's why we put so much effort and love into this one. We really want to go out with a massive bang.
Yeah. So Arkham Asylum, the first one in the trilogy, when that was being developed, the trilogy wasn't in mind. It was
not right at the start. I mean, to be honest, we were just incredibly happy to get the chance to work on a Batman game.
Yeah.
And
see how it went. And then
we had no idea that people were going to like it. We had no idea that we would even get a sequel. We weren't signed up for a sequel at all when we were developing Arkham Asylum, and it wasn't until quite near the end, like, we knew we'd love to do a sequel, but we weren't locked in contractually, or, like, you know, we weren't 100% agreed until very near the end of development to say yes, we'll definitely move on to the next one. And it's kind of weird, because again, you live in this bubble that we didn't really think, wow, this is going to be great, you know, this is going to be, people are going to love it. We just thought, right, this is a game we're really proud of, but we had no idea what the reaction was going to be like. So when people, you know, really liked it, it was really something amazing for us as a team.
Fantastic, yeah. Now, Arkham Knight being a trilogy, that's a strong decision as well, because there is a tendency nowadays to roll out franchise after franchise. We're getting increasing numbers of annual releases of big name games.
Yeah.
It's a strong narrative decision to stop.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a bold decision as well of Warner to back us on that, because we felt it's a story we're telling. We're not just banging out sequels. We're telling a genuine story that has, you know, impact and effect. Every time that something happens in our game, the ripples of that echo throughout the rest of the story. And that's kind of harder to do if you're just doing a game every year, whereas every event in our game is a significant event. So when Joker died at the end of Arkham City, that's a huge event that affects the world after that. You can't really do that kind of storytelling if you're kind of just having a game out every year. You know, we want these to all be more like a cinematic experience, in the sense of, you know, we want them to be big, enjoyable events rather than an ongoing series which doesn't really go anywhere. That's kind of the decision that we wanted to make, and thanks to Warner for backing us on that and really getting behind that decision.
And a massive part of the narrative for Arkham Knight is Arkham Knight, him or herself. I'm going to go for himself. I know you're not going to give anything away. Which is a totally new character developed between Rocksteady and DC Comics.
That's right.
So who approached who? How did that start?
We went to them and said, like, we want to basically develop a character who can go toe to toe with Batman. You know, we've had all these other supervillains try it. We want to bring someone in who is the equal of Batman. And they work with us. They're really excited to do that, to have someone completely new to the franchise and to the universe. Work closely with Jeff Johns, design this new character with this new look, with these kind of echoes of Batman.
And how long did that take? I know it's still an ongoing process, but how long does it take to create a character that everyone's happy, you've defined, and then drive that forward?
It can be different for different characters. Like when we do the look of new characters, like when we did the updated look of Scarecrow for this game, we went through a few iterations for the way he was going to look and trying to get him to feel as scary as possible. But the Arkham Knight, funnily enough, was something that we settled on relatively quickly. Like we got this look concept in him and we thought, yeah, that looks really cool. And so, like I would say, funnily enough, someone like Scarecrow, we spent months getting to where we wanted him before we were happy with him. Because we wanted this idea that he'd sort of turned himself into the epitome of fear, like he'd twisted his own face to become fear itself.
Okay. And I guess you had more responsibility with existing characters to get that right.
Yeah, definitely. You feel that responsibility for sure. Again, sort of strangely enough, you try and ignore the feeling of responsibility because it restricts you creatively if you start to get worried what everyone's going to think about it, and you just think, we'll go for it, and if people don't like it, you know, that's kind of something that we really try and maintain from Arkham Asylum, is that we almost had a sort of naivety to the way we approached the game that I think was really empowering for us, because we never knew we were going to sell millions of copies. We just thought, this is our Batman game, so we'll just do the Batman game we want to make. And thankfully people really like that, but we never tried to sort of kind of pander to it in a sense or try and appease people. And I think my belief is that if you do that, you end up with something quite mediocre, because it's not offensive in any way, but it's also not interesting. So we wanted to keep it really more edgy and interesting.
Brilliant. Okay, well that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.